Hello and welcome to this week's Q&A. I've got two questions for you this week and they're great. The first one particularly is it's quite a long question, but it's a fantastic one. It's got really, meaty layers. And I'm reading from my iPad today as my Mac has completely crashed, so it's a little bit of a different experience for me. So bear with me. I hope you're going well, and I shall proceed with our Q&A. Question 1, I have a question for you on the session on attachment and aversion, as it really resonated with me and I want to unpack it further with you in my own sessions. However, I'd be interested to know if this experience is something other people face too. Upon reflection on the session, I noticed this pattern of behaviour across many aspects of my life, particularly in my career. Always chasing the next best role, position, agency, etc. I work in advertising. Never feeling satisfied with my role and feeling that I can be something bigger and better. Always looking elsewhere and never feeling content. I see a new role or an opportunity and I jump on it, becoming almost obsessed with it until I get it. I build it up in my head, becoming anxious, racing my mind and thoughts that if I'm not successful, then I'm a failure, and become disappointed and self-loathing. If I'm successful, which luckily mostly I have been in a career sense, the sugar hit wears off. I find myself in the same thought pattern again. I'm currently in this cycle from a career point of view. However, it does seem to run across close personal relationships, family, possessions, image, etc. What are some further practices I can do to break this pattern of behaviour? As I know, it's not rational, and when I say it out loud or try and explain it, it sounds very neurotic. Ha ha. I have the awareness to know it's not aligned with my values or how I want to behave. I just can't seem to break the cycle yet. Told you it was a good question. Really, thank you so much to the person that sent this in. You've just given such a great insight into attachment and aversion. I'm pretty sure in the mini session that I disclosed at the very beginning, when I learnt about attachment, aversion and ignorance, which is the sort of the third poison in Buddhist, in Dharma, it really changed everything. And these are the insights that I got exactly, across all aspects of my life. I could see attachment and aversion. So the first answer to your question is yes. Other people do face this or have experience this clinging. Remember, attachment is clinging and grasping, and you've nailed it how you've described it. The best role, the position, the agency, never satisfied, always looking for something better, never content. So in that regard, we're clinging to an aspiration, and we're also clinging to an image, which you said later on, about close personal relationships, family, possessions, image, etc. So everyone, just refer to this, think about it, notice your chasing, always after. This is not to say we're not in pursuit of improving our lives and everything, but I think what we can really hear in this question is there's an angst in it. And that's what this person is saying they can notice, and that's attachment. And of course, attached to this is aversion. I've got a bit of highlighted bits here. And then she says, I'm in a career sense, the sugar hit wears off. I find myself in the same thought pattern again. And then my notes here, which you probably have an aversion to. So chasing, getting excited, getting that sugar hit, but also the anxiety. What if it doesn't happen? Aversion. I don't want to feel the feelings of it not happening. I don't want to feel failure. I don't want to be a failure. I don't want to feel failure. But then I find myself in the same thought pattern again, chasing and, pursuing and avoiding. So from the perspective of this particular question, everything that you've said here to me is what I would say is normal. What you have now been gifted is the awareness that there's an angst that inherent in how you pursue things. And my encouragement would be just, continue to enjoy your work and, you know, do things that are values aligned. And when you notice that attachment and the sort of the desperation and the clinging, that you just neutralize it in some way. And the practice there would be to notice it and just to slow yourself down and practice appreciation and gratitude for what you've got now, and everything's really good. And I might pursue that role, I'll investigate it. But I think the main thing is just to go about it in a calmer way, so you don't get in that sense of angst that I detect in here. So I hope that helps in regards to that chasing. I wanted to tap into a word that you use, which I love, neurotic. M. Scott Peck in The Road Less Travelled refers to this word a bit, and I looked it up again. And I wanted just to highlight, you know, I know it's not rational. When I say it out loud or try to explain it, it sounds really neurotic. You know, we're not talking about rational, we're talking about drives, you know, really innate core feelings that motivate us to attach and avoid. And it's not at all neurotic. But I wanted to give you a quick definition of neurotic. Freud's definition of neurosis or neuroses is a coping strategy caused by unsuccessfully repressed emotions from past experiences. And these emotions overwhelm or interfere with current experiences. And I remember in The Road Less Travelled, M. Scott Peck talks about, so you have a neurosis, so something happens and you develop an aversion to that happening again. That's a neurosis. So you change your behaviour to avoid, and attachment would come into this. You know, I change my behaviour and I pursue more of that because I don't want that feeling, so I pursue more of this. Then what's important is that you can have a neurosis on top of that. So you notice that your behaviour is now all about avoiding or attaching, and then you have a neurosis because you don't want to be like that. Pretty interesting. Anyway, the last bit that I wanted to respond to is break the cycle, and also then practices, which I've sort of touched on. The last sentence was, I have the awareness to know it's not aligned with my values or how I want to behave. I just can't seem to break the cycle. Remember, we're not trying to break a cycle. We're noticing behaviour, thoughts and actions, speech and action, and we're loosening our grip on that. We're just observing ourselves in daily life, and we're not trying to break a cycle. What we're doing is getting clearer about how we want to behave, speech and action, and doing that. So use your awareness and to inform you about which values you're wanting to live more of. And for me, it just sounds like, slow down, calm down. There's nothing wrong with what you want to pursue. You know, we're all in the modern world. We're not going, living a monastic life. But it's just about getting everything in balance and moderation. And I do think clarifying visions, like one of the things that is in here is, what are you trying to attain? Most of our, people searching and this sort of work scenario, or even relationship, if you're not really clear on what you're trying to attain, which is often like visceral, a feeling we're trying to attain, then you're never going to attain it. So I think that's helpful. Breaking the cycle is not changing, grasping, or pushing away or avoiding. It's practicing acceptance of the tendency and just being in the moment and anchoring yourself in a calm state with your intention on what you're doing right now. So present moment awareness. I notice myself chasing or avoiding or whatever it is. I'm just going to come back into this moment and focus on what I'm doing. And clarity of visions, what I'm wanting to do and attain. Yes, all of that. They're all my notes. So the practice is that, noticing, same as the themes of the retreat, accepting, aware, which is noticing, I accept that I'm in that cycle, which is, that's awareness. Fantastic. Compassion to the self. I obviously feel like I'm really needing to be more than I am, and actually where I am right now is absolutely fine. And just anchoring in that moment. And then, just keep working on your clarity of what you want, what you're working towards. I think that's enough about that question. But it's just if anyone has anything further about that, just shoot an email and I'll keep talking about it. But yeah, it's a really, really important teaching from the Dharma, from Buddhism, that I certainly found incredibly helpful and still do. Still goes on. Question 2. So thanks to that one. And this one is a lovely one. I have a question on compassion and the differences between sympathy and compassion, and whether I've interpreted the differences properly. And this is still from this question. So compassion is to suffer, if compassion is to suffer with another, but some definitions seem to go further with a feeling motivated to relieve that suffering, which is true, which in our online session this week you helped describe to me as providing warmth and kindness towards myself. So that's self-compassion. Sympathy, on the other hand, seems to only be feelings of pity and sorrow. Yes. And doesn't go a step further, that is to provide relief from the suffering. So you're absolutely right with sympathy. I've just got 3 definitions here of sympathy, empathy and compassion. And empathy is the ability to understand and share feelings. That sort of resonance, isn't it? Empathy. If I empathize, I have a perception that I can feel and share the feelings of what that person's experiencing. Sympathy is the feelings of pity and sorrow for someone else's problems, pain and misfortune. So I'm sort of feeling it and what they might be feeling, but I'm not sharing it with them. I'm not saying it. I just think, I can see they're really struggling, and oh God, I really sympathise. So quite different, but not quite different, not that different. And compassion, sympathetic consciousness of others' distress together with the desire to alleviate it. I love that definition. I can't remember where I got them from. I just read heaps of them and I just chose the ones that I thought were really aligned with our retreat. Sympathetic consciousness. So it's got sympathy in it. I'm conscious of it, that I've got feelings of pity and sorrow for somebody else's problems, pain, misfortune. And I have a desire to alleviate it. So that's compassion. Compassion comes with a desire to alleviate the other person's suffering. And this is what we're wanting for ourselves. We're wanting to practice compassion towards ourselves, towards, and let's come into retreat language, the part of me that's filling the gap. So, a bit of self-disclosure at the moment. My daughter's going to, God, I hope I don't cry, that would be fine. But my daughter's going to university and she's moving to Canberra. And we've been, just her and I as a pretty tight unit, 18 years. And so at the moment, I'm really trying to support myself with feelings of loss, even though I'm so happy and excited for the life that she's moving towards and into. I mean, how fantastic college life. It's really fun. And I've got feelings about her for that. But also, and this is the both, that I'm really sad. There's a big loss in it for me because she's leaving home. And I'm just continuing to say it's both. It's okay to be sad for myself because I'm going to miss her, and it's just an end of an era, a very long period of time in my life together with her, and that she really is, flying the coop, if you like. So compassion towards myself, and I've really noticed that other parents, particularly mums, have been being very, very empathetic towards me about that. Like even saying what you're doing, wow, how are you? You can tell straight away that they have empathy for the stage of life that I'm at. So self-compassion is feelings of, sympathetic consciousness for myself about the pain and that I'm experiencing in this moment, or the suffering, whatever it is that's happening. And I think the most important thing that I'd like to say about self-compassion is, when you practice self-compassion well, then you will be able to practice it for others. The same with any of our practices in the retreat, which is why self-awareness and habituating self-care and values practice is so important, because that is where you will develop the ability to transfer those experiences, those values, that behaviour, that speech. It will start to automate. Pretty cool, huh? I shall leave you there. I did have a question for you, and I because my Mac crashed, it's only half there. I've got, can you identify? I think I was going to say, can you identify something, a trait, a tendency or trait from your family of origin, culture or values that you still carry with you now? That could be good, might not be, could be something that you're really wanting to move on from. Remember, family of origin, culture and values, pass it on or pass it back. Curses and blessings, pass it on or pass it back. So there are things from my family of origin I think, oh, that's a really great ritual we had, or a really great value, or it was a lovely part of our family culture, or then I want to keep passing on and living in daily life, or then there might be something that I decide that I want to leave behind. So that's really important for you. Can you identify a family of origin trait or behaviour or anything that you still live and behave now that you would like to pass on or pass back? Just a lovely little reflection for you. That's all for me for this week. Lots of love. See you next time. Any questions, please keep them coming. We're getting some really lovely layered questions. It benefits everyone, so don't hold back. See you next time.